spend so much money is because this marketing strategy can launch huge businesses practically overnight, but it can also be incredibly risky. I work as an investment banker in Silicon Valley, so I am fortunate enough to have the direct exposure to market dynamics in the startup capital of the world. Let me tell you firsthand that the investment appetite for direct-to-consumer businesses is starting to wane. The channel Modern MBA did a great video on these businesses, so I will leave a link to his video below for anybody who is interested in learning more. If these businesses fail to raise fundraising, then they won't exist to pay millions of dollars every month to influencers across the internet. For now, it's hard to say if or when this will happen, but with increasing interest rates and a slew of high-profile business failures weighing on investors' minds, easy money might not be as easy to come by for the businesses which have been propping up the influencer bubble. The cost of influencer marketing is insignificant compared to the bigger problem that these online celebrities are now facing. People don't trust them anymore. It should have been obvious from the start, but a lot of influencers do not even care or understand what they are promoting. If businesses can pay their fee, they will get their recommendation. I am now a YouTuber, and I can tell you from experience that the hardest part about working with sponsors is simply finding businesses that I feel comfortable promoting. My good friend Richard over at The Plain Bagel was once offered $30,000 to do just one video on a cryptocurrency. Richard obviously declined that offer because it was an obvious pump and dump scheme, but many influencers wouldn't. Richard's channel has just over 500,000 subscribers. So one can only imagine how much these shady operations are offering people with audiences of millions of younger, more impressionable viewers. There have been countless scandals surrounding influencers that have been caught advertising to children, promoting failed music festivals, and pumping and dumping crypto projects over and over and over and over again. Young people are not dumb, and they can see through influencers who are just saying something to make money without believing what they are promoting. Influencers that target young children can prey on the naivety of their audience for a little bit longer, but audiences this young are going to need a parent to do their shopping, and they are going to be harder to fool. In a beautifully ironic twist, the wealth that has been accumulated by top influencers over their careers is also eroding the trust that they once had with their audience. 10 years ago, when a top influencer was talking about a product in their basic apartment, it felt like they were talking to a peer, or maybe even a friend. Now, as David Dobrik dances around his LA mansion talking about SeatGeek, he just comes across as a celebrity sponsor. People like this struggle to genuinely recommend products because they are so wealthy and famous that they no longer need them. Do you think David needs to get his concert tickets on the resale market, or do you think that he gets invited to these events before tickets even go on sale? Some of the savvier influencers will try very hard to convey an image of a normal lifestyle, and maybe that's because they don't care for an ostentatious display of material wealth, or maybe that's because that they know that it helps them better to connect with their audience. The clear divide between an online friend and an online celebrity was only accelerated during early lockdowns. This shit show, coupled with the distasteful messaging of being #in this together, saw a rapid decline in the public's interest in influencer marketing. Now, not only are consumers losing trust in influencers, but so are businesses. If a business uses an influencer as a spokesperson for their product, they become inextricably linked to that person's reputation. This can be a good thing. If a brand wants to position itself as a fun-loving product for young people, it would do well by working with fun-loving young influencers. But it can also go very wrong as well. Online influencers are far riskier to align with a brand than traditional celebrities. Traditional celebrities only really appear in carefully curated settings where their managers get to make sure they don't say anything out of line. And even if they do, it is likely to get cut out before being released to the public. Influencers, on the other hand, make their living by broadcasting their entire lives on the internet, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Eventually something bad is bound to happen. Businesses also take on significant risk with influencers because of other businesses. If an influencer takes on sponsorship from one brand that turns out to be fraudulent, then logical questions will be raised as to the legitimacy of all other businesses they promote. So, what does the future hold for our multimillionaire influencer overlords? Well, if the gold rush does come to an end, they are all likely going to make a lot less money. But that's probably a good thing. The days of throwing money at online personalities and hoping for the best may come to an end, but it doesn't mean that the practice is going away entirely. Instead, it will hopefully mean that online marketing can become something better than a cheaper alternative to traditional celebrity endorsements on traditional media platforms. There is nothing wrong with relatable people giving advice that they believe in about products that they understand and getting paid for it. And the metrics will soon make companies realize that this is what made internet marketing great in the first place. Influencer-run businesses are a multi-billion-dollar industry, but but they are usually a terrible investment for everyone, including the influencer. Prime Energy.
What?
Ryan Reynolds is best known for his on-screen performances, but behind the scenes, he is a ruthless venture capitalist with 2 9-figure exits under his belt before the age of 50. In 2018, Reynolds acquired an unspecified minority stake in Aviation Gin from Davos Brands, a New York-based distributor that had purchased the brand in 2016 from House Spirits Distillery in Portland.
Does drinking Aviation Gin make you feel like a superhero?
Let's hope they underestimate us.
I wouldn't know.
Hostile forces have arrived.
Reynolds used his star power to promote the gin and drive sales from 15,000 cases a year to 96,000 cases a year, according to the financial services firm Jefferies.
And then we had our children, and that's when I realized that I love gin.
The liquor market is dominated by well-established brands that customers show a high degree of loyalty to. The market for alcohol in America has also stagnated, with younger consumers choosing to drink less or not at all as a healthy lifestyle choice or a way to save money. In a declining and rigid market, a 540% increase in sales over just 3 years is a clear sign of how effective a dedicated influencer-led marketing campaign can be. The liquor giant Diageo, that already owns brands like Johnnie Walker, Smirnoff, Bailey's, Captain Morgan, and their own gin brand Tanqueray, recognized the potential and purchased Aviation Gin outright in 2020 for $610 million.
Well, I love marketing.
Reynolds followed up his success by purchasing a reported 25% stake in the telecom startup Mint Mobile in 2019. He repeated the process of promoting the company to his audience, increased the customer base, and then sold the company to another legacy industry giant, T-Mobile, for over $1.25 billion, which with Reynolds' stake should net him over $300 million before taxes. In just 5 years, Reynolds was able to leverage his fame to make north of $500 million on top of the money he made from his day job as an actor.
I think I can now say that I've done pretty well in the business. I mean,
Reynolds is just the latest celebrity to make headlines for selling their business to a big company for a ludicrous amount of money. George Clooney had his own tequila company that he had also sold to Diageo for $1 billion. Dr. Dre had Beats by Dre, and Jay-Z had Tidal that he sold to Block for $302 million. Celebrity businesses are nothing new, but the rise of the internet influencer is making them a lot more common. Social media influencers can't monetize their audience's attention as effectively as traditional celebrities that make music, movies, and TV shows, because there's usually no direct cost to access their content.
When you see a tweet or an Instagram post from one of your favorite celebrities showing off the good life with a cool outfit, a new beauty product, or a beautiful vacation spot, there's a chance the star has a good reason to tell you about it. Money.
Someone who pays to watch or listen to content is always going to be more valuable than someone who watches for free. YouTubers can run ads through Google AdSense and have dedicated video sponsors. But at current ad rates across the platform, a creator would need 5,000 people to view their video to generate as much revenue as just one movie ticket sale. YouTube is also the most monetizable of influencer platforms. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook do offer ad share programs with creators, but their rates are usually a couple of cents per 1,000 views. A TikToker would need more than 1 million views at that rate to make the same revenue as one movie ticket. I understand that this isn't a one-to-one comparison. Movies are feature length, not 60 seconds or less, and movies have large production and marketing budgets. But making content isn't free, and independent creators are spending more and more money to stand out in the increasingly competitive marketplace for attention. So, influencers have gotten to the business of business. The model is simple. An influencer will promote their product, which gives them a competitive edge over other businesses that need to pay for traditional marketing campaigns. Influencer businesses only work in high-margin, consumer-focused products that typically have large marketing spends like liquor, fashion, cosmetics, and fast-moving consumer goods. Gatorade spent $59 million on marketing in America in 2021, according to company filings. If Logan Paul and KSI can get similar market recognition without spending that kind of money on traditional advertising, they will have a business that is far more profitable and valuable. Business-to-business products and products that don't rely on large advertising spends gain much less from being run by an influencer because their business edge is the free advertising they offer. If you study this space for long enough, you will realize that there is not much variety in influencer businesses, and that's just the first problem out of 4. The first problem with influencer businesses is that they are only as good as the influencer themselves. companies built around an affiliation with one individual have a single point of failure, which makes them a risky investment. If the influencer steps back from the business, the brand loses its free advertising and its competitive edge. When Reynolds sold his share in aviation gin to Diageo, part of the deal was a 10-year earnout for him to remain on as a media spokesperson and maintain the performance of the brand. Diageo's M&A team knew if they lost Reynolds, the brand would become just another premium gin in a highly competitive shrinking market. It can be even worse if the individual decides to go full Kanye and publicly destroy their reputation. If a brand is aligned with the image of an individual person, it's essential that their image stays desirable. Adidas was left with $1.3 billion worth of unsold Yeezys after their split with West. But let's say it doesn't get Kanye level bad. Even the influencer businesses have a shorter than average life cycle. Just the success of an influencer's business can make their fans unhappy, because nobody likes being advertised to, and the cultural stigma of selling out can turn their fans against them. This is more common with certain types of celebrities, particularly music genres that pride themselves on their counterculture image. Ryan Reynolds received substantial fan backlash after his part in selling Mint to T-Mobile. Fans liked the low-cost product, but they also liked the alternative to traditional cell carriers, which are some of the most hated companies in America, alongside the Weinstein Company, EA, and Monsanto. Fans were sold on this alternative by someone they trusted, and Reynolds used that trust to make $300 million by selling it to the bad guys.
Finally gonna fill whatever hole I have inside my soul that possesses me to emphasize external success over quieting an inner child, futilely craving some sort of illusory acknowledgement from my now deceased father.
It's not just the fans that lose out here. Reynolds himself could struggle to repeat this business plan again after losing favor with his audience. The company can also suffer. A large telecom company buying a small telecom company happens all the time, and usually their customers never even know it happens. But Reynolds' involvement made it big news, and people are leaving Mint just to make a point. Reynolds was only a minority shareholder in both of these companies, so he may not have been able to stop their acquisitions even if he wanted to, and that's problem number 2 with influencer-owned businesses. The influencers don't own them. Logan Paul and KSI's Prime Energy is majority owned by a distribution company called Congo Brands. The professional internet idiots each own 20% of the business, and the other 60% is controlled by the distributor. Bringing a food and beverage product to market is a very difficult process. The brand needs to get FDA approval, find a producer, and work with distributors in dozens of countries. I am sure that Mr. Paul and KSI are very smart men deeply down. But even if they did have the skills to manage such a difficult product rollout, it would consume a lot of their time. As businessmen, their time would be better and more profitably spent screaming into a microphone, getting punched in the face, and selling NFTs to their impressionable young audience. Using a company with experience to make an upfront investment and handle the operations was a good deal for the duo. Most other influencer businesses use experienced distributors to handle their products. I will use myself as an example for some self-serving promotion. I recently launched my own merch shop to give people a fun way to support the channel. Instead of finding my own suppliers and setting up a warehouse, I just signed a distribution contract with Spring. They handle the website hosting, manufacturing, payment processing, and distribution for a cut of the profits on whatever I sell. So this hoodie made some YouTuber $6 is the whole truth. I knew this was a risk. If the supplier dropped their quality standards, people wouldn't blame them. They would blame me. If the influencers don't own the companies selling what is supposed to be their products, they can lose control of their brand's direction and end up contractually bound to a product they no longer support or being forced to provide positive PR for decisions they were against. In November of 2010, the Kardashian sisters announced that they would be launching a prepaid debit card called the Kardashian Card. The card was a horrible financial product. It came with numerous fees, including $99.95 just to open an account. It also came with a monthly fee of $7.95, cost $6 to close.
If you don't use the money that's in there, they actually deduct it or they charge you.
And featured a $2 charge if the customer tried to pay a bill online. The sisters were not the ones that created the card offering and the fee structure. They outsourced that to University National Bank, but they were the ones dealing with the bad press. The third problem with influencer businesses is that there are too many of them. New social media platforms are giving attention to a lot of people that can't easily monetize their newfound fame. Since influencer-driven brands only work with a handful of product categories in a small number of markets, influencers are starting to compete with other influencers. It would be difficult to find a beauty influencer with more than 1 million followers that doesn't have their own cosmetics line, or a finance influencer without some course on how to flip houses or day trade Forex. If more influencers enter these markets, they risk saturating their customers for choice and pushing them back to brand name products. Some customers will even seek out products that are not aligned with any celebrity or influencer because they want to avoid celebrity culture and because they think celebrity-backed products are inferior to traditional branded products. Problem number 4 is that influencer products are usually worse than other market competitors. Most businesses fail, and most products brought to market are not as good as existing products that have remained popular for a reason. Most businesses are not founded by a celebrity. Therefore, the chances of a good product that would beat existing products being founded by a celebrity are very slim. Unlike bad products that don't have inbuilt celebrity endorsements, an influencer product won't just simply fail. Influencer products at higher price points can be kept alive by good marketing. Beats by Dre used to be the market leader in premium headphones and portable speakers. The recognizable design was popular with music enthusiasts that wanted a good headset but weren't sure how to find one. What sounds good is subjective, so a product developed by one of the biggest music producers in the world was an attractive option. Beats headphones were on average 50% more expensive than similar offerings from Bose, Sennheiser, and Sony. The products also suffer from poor build quality and bad balancing profiles that emphasize bass, which the average Beats buyer mistakes for a premium sound. Beats still outsold the existing brands 10-1 in 2006 and 2014 when it was acquired by Apple for $3 billion. The heavy-handed marketing of Beats products has backfired today because most image-conscious music employers don't want to be seen wearing them because the fact that they are an inferior product sold to impressionable people with too much money is well known. Beats now has similar sales revenue to product-focused headphone producers. Bose and Sennheiser have become popular with the same customers who have abandoned their bright red Beats because these brands are now seen as the choice of enthusiasts that know more about music and sound quality than you do. Apple probably doesn't mind since its self-branded headphones now dominate the market of people who just want something to listen to. A good grift requires people to believe 4 things. People need to believe it's credible, people need to believe it will give them wealth or a better life, people need to believe it will be easy, and people need to believe that the grifter has a secret to making it all work. AI is going to be a better opportunity for scammers than cryptocurrency, and it's already starting.
But I'm going to be going for exactly how you can use this new AI bot with ChatGPT to help you when it comes to making money online.
In this video, I'm going to show you a stupid, easy way to make money with ChatGPT.
I don't need to tell you about ChatGPT. If you have been anywhere on the internet in the last 6 months, you already know about what it and other programs like it can do. Designing images, writing code, and creating content are the most time-consuming tasks in the most typed-up industries, tech and online marketing. If you pay attention to this space, you will hear about people making enormous fortunes on a daily basis. The challenge is that coding, writing, and creating digital media takes a lot of effort and requires talent and experience. Someone who needs quick money now doesn't have time to learn about web development or take a Photoshop course, and AI is the answer to that. New programs can take basic prompts and create viable content which can then be monetized. Except it just doesn't work. And idiots on the internet need to stop telling you it does. New AI programs are not going to make you rich, and there are 4 reasons why that happens to line up perfectly with the ingredients that make a great grift. The first reason is that the fields they apparently work in only reward top performers, and AI doesn't produce content as good as the best humans. The most frequently recommended AI hustle is creating fully automated YouTube channels. The business plan is to get ChatGPT to write you a video, Midjourney to create a slideshow of visuals, and some freemium online software to turn it into a video to post on YouTube and make that sweet ad revenue. To qualify for monetization on YouTube, a channel needs a minimum of 4,000 hours of watch time and 1,000 subscribers. That doesn't sound like much, but less than 1% of channels ever qualified for the partner program. And this barrier was so challenging for new channels to overcome that YouTube lowered the requirement to 3,000 hours of watch time and 500 subscribers. Even of the channels that gain enough of a following to be monetized, most are only making a few dollars a day. It took me, and most of the other creators I speak with personally, more than a year of making content before we were monetized. Making videos is time consuming, so letting AI do all of the work for you plays well into one of the key ingredients of a good grift. People need to believe it will be easy. The trouble is that AI is just not very good yet. And the reason you don't see many other channels run by robots is not because people aren't trying. It's because the YouTube algorithm simply isn't making them as visible, because there are better videos made by real creators still putting in effort. You may not like the weird energy of Mr. Beast or the Paul brothers, but they are much more engaging than an internet word generator, so they get millions of views, and the millions of people trying to create automated channels get nothing. Dropshipping is another common grift that has the same apparent advantage, which is really its biggest weakness. If you are one of the lucky few that has not had the dropshipping dream pitched to you yet, The business plan is to find overseas companies selling cheap products overseas using websites like Alibaba. Once you find something you think will sell well, you set up a website of your own to sell those products at a higher price. When someone buys something off your website, you turn around and buy it off the overseas seller and simply give them the address of the purchaser so they can handle the postage and you keep the profit. But not only will you be competing with the thousands of other people that are trying to do the same thing, you will also be competing with Walmart and Amazon that offer faster delivery times, better brand recognition, lower prices, a wider product selection, and have millions of visitors visiting their stores all the time. People selling dropshipping courses also rarely admit that your customer could also just go on Alibaba themselves and buy the product at the lower price. Creating content using AI runs into all of the same problems. It's pitched as an easy way to build a business or generate side income, but it's never going to compete with the people putting in real effort to bring a better product to market. How long would you watch a video of an AI voice reading a procedurally generated script? Wouldn't you rather spend your time on YouTube watching content from dedicated creators? Of course you would. And since YouTube wants you to use their platform for as long as possible, they will only promote content that keeps people engaged. But what about all the people who did get rich off of dropshipping and the people already making money using AI? Well, the lack of competitiveness that a zero barrier to entry business has is just the first problem with thinking AI will magically make you $300 a day. The second reason that AI has already become such a great grift is that the ways that it can make you money sound credible. ChatGPT only mixes together stuff it scraped off the internet, but it can still do some pretty impressive stuff.
And we're gonna get some answers. Is it magic? Is it just algorithms? Is it gonna save us or destroy us? Let's go find out.
Another popular plan to make money using AI has been letting ChatGPT pick stocks for you. All the big financial influencers have made some variation of this video, and even reputable outlets like CNN Business have written articles suggesting that AI chatbots can pick stocks for you better than a fund manager. I hope to most of you that sounds totally ridiculous, because it is, but it's also easy to understand why people would fall for this. Financial education is severely lacking in America and most other countries. People are told that they should invest, and it's normally left at that. Accessing a paid financial professional is expensive and makes the mere act of investing pointless if you have to pay someone $2,000 to tell you how to invest your remaining $8,000. So the only option is turning to people on the internet that give general advice that won't be suitable for everyone, or in some cases, anyone.
Choose from. That's why I'm really proud to stand behind today's sponsor, FTX.
Another thing that people know is important but don't know much about is AI. Speaking with just a little bit of authority about these two topics will attract a big audience. There are computer programs employed by major quant funds that are coded by people with PhDs in statistics, physics, and computer science. These are programs that use millions of data points to gain a slight edge in trading. This makes the claim about AI investing sound credible since ChatGPT is an impressive computer program that uses a huge data set. It's been able to do things like pass the bar exam on its first try, so it should be able to do the same thing as those quant algorithms, right? Wrong. The programs that quant funds use only work when they exclusively execute a strategy, and they often don't work. And when they do, they only work for a short time before the market reverse engineers what they are doing and does the same thing. That's very different from passing the bar, which is mostly a test of memorizing legal precedents. Since ChatGPT has a large bank of training data, it gives it an unfair advantage. An average person with some basic legal training could probably pass the bar too if they were allowed to bring a laptop with an archive of case law into the exam room, but they are not. Investing is very different from passing the bar. Any strategy that can be accessed by typing a prompt into ChatGPT is going to have zero competitive edge over the market, because anybody else can do the same thing. Also, ChatGPT does not take your personal financial situation into account, and since its training data only goes up to 2021, it's out of date too. The reason that better financial creators on YouTube don't talk about what to invest in is because they know it's impossible to give good advice to such a large audience. This is frustrating for them, because they can see how much money other people are making by claiming to be financial experts and giving advice that is really hurting people.
So don't ever expect New Kevin to sell you a stock investing course. Thank you so much for considering this course.
You are fake news.
It's also frustrating to their audience because people like Patrick Boyle, The Plain Bagel, and Ben Felix are financial professionals with qualifications, licenses, and certifications that make them much better equipped to give advice. But it's because of their experience that they know that they can't give advice. A simple recommendation like, you should buy a broad market index fund is good advice for some people, but it can be terrible advice for people with short-term financial goals, high interest debt, or no emergency savings. Since as YouTubers we can't control who watches our videos, the next best thing we can do is not give any advice at all. ChatGPT has the same limitations. It doesn't understand your finances. It just predicts what word makes the most sense to type out next. So even if it does look like it can make everything easier, please don't use it for financial advice. The AI hype is made to sound even more credible because there are people that are going to get rich off this technology. The fear of missing out on an exciting trend like this can make it hard to stay sensible. The people that are going to make millions in this industry fall into 3 categories. The first group are the people that can actually create programs like ChatGPT, because they are geniuses in the fields of machine learning, allowing them to start their own companies or negotiate huge salary packages from big tech companies that want top talent in the space. The next group are people who have already invested into AI companies that are now benefiting off investor hype. And the third group are people that run regular businesses that can use AI to make operations more efficient, which is different from building a business completely from scratch using AI. If you're not in one of these groups, that's okay. Nobody can be in the right place at the right time every time, and chasing trends is a costly exercise. The third reason that AI is going to make such a great grift is because it's easy for people to claim they have the secret to making it all work. AI programs are easy to use, but they still have a learning curve, and to utilize them to their fullest potential, you are going to need to look up guides online to learn how to get it to work and what can be done with it. That's an easy way for people to make big claims and soak up those sweet clicks. They might claim it's harmless, but it isn't. And that's because one of the biggest problems in the YouTuber finance space is a strategy I call the bait and backpedal. This is where a YouTuber will post a clickbait title like, "How to use ChatGPT to become a millionaire," and then say nothing in the video about how this program is supposed to make you a millionaire. The people that have perfected this strategy will even cover themselves in the video by saying that people shouldn't risk their money, and that AI is not made for this, which is the backpedal part of the strategy. That means if they are ever called out, they can just claim that the person didn't watch their video. But by that point, the damage is done. Not every person that sees a thumbnail will click on it. I am pretty bad at clickbait, so my numbers may be worse. But for every 1 view on my channel, my video needs to be displayed to 15 people on average. A lot of people will just see that ChatGPT can make them a millionaire and never watch the video that says precisely the opposite. And that's the fourth reason. It's easy to believe that this could change your life. Starting a business or investing is not exciting. If it's exciting, you are probably doing something wrong. Investing is a long-term and boring exercise that rewards discipline more than chasing trends. Starting business is the same, with the addition of a lot of hard work. People are more aware of financial fraud than ever before. From crypto influencers to suspicious-looking text messages, we are all trained to be on the high alert about everything. Unfortunately, the fact that we now suspect everything is a scam is a big reason why financial fraud is at an all-time high.
I lost the majority of my life savings in a dating scam.
Well, you're tightening the belt this year and saving money, but there are a handful of growing scams that are designed to steal your money.
Dating scams where fraudsters convince people to put their money into fake cryptocurrency investments.
But in 2023, the scams are a lot more sophisticated than you may have realized.
Society loves con artists. Don't believe me? Think about this. We are all celebrating Sam Bankman-Fried being convicted of defrauding millions of investors out of billions of dollars. For now. But the same crypto enthusiasts that lost money when FTX collapsed probably at one point or another celebrated the wealth in excess of the Wolf of Wall Street, another convicted fraudster who stole millions of dollars from investors. The future is clear. In 40 years, the insufferable hustle bros will be liking inspirational quotes pasted over the top of SBF. Okay, that might be funny to think about, but it happens all the time. The reporter Aaron Griffith with the New York Times wrote about the hundreds of fake companies with fake business plans and fake users being created to attract venture capital investment. Firms like Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, and Excel had so much money that they couldn't invest into new ideas fast enough. This started to encourage hopeful founders to fudge their numbers a bit to get a life-changing investment. There were companies that used that money and did build out a real business. But there were other companies that had to keep on lying as more and more investors piled in. If you were a company founder trying to be completely honest about your business, you would have found it much harder to get an audience with these investors to pitch your idea because you were competing with other founders who weren't afraid to stretch the truth or flat out lie to tell investors what they wanted to hear. The venture capital firms that lived by the Silicon Valley mantra of growth at all costs didn't even care, because even if the companies they were invested in never made a profit, they could hype them up enough to sell them to strategic investors or dump their trash on the general public through a SPAC. Cases like Charlie Javis, who faked millions of users on her app Frank before selling it to JP Morgan for $175 million, or Abraham Shafty's IRL. another app that had millions of daily users that raised $150 million at a $1 billion valuation, before an investigation by the board found that 95% of its users were also completely fake. From just these 2 fake apps, that is a total of $325 million that could have been invested in real startups. But there are 5 reasons why fraud beats honesty almost every time. The first reason that fraud has done so well, even though people are more aware of it than ever, is because nobody bothers checking anymore. While good, honest companies and people are held down with honesty and regulations, scammers and fraudsters can just lie about how great their business is. The reason that they can get away with this for so long today is because fewer people are checking. According to the remarks of their own administrators, organizations like the Securities and Exchange Commission, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and the Federal Trade Commission don't have enough resources to regulate market activity. According to the SEC enforcement results from 2022, the agency is now relying mostly on whistleblowers to prosecute pump-and-dump schemes, securities manipulation, and insider trading. Now, you all know about government regulators being underfunded, but the private sector also failed as well. FTX, Theranos, and WeWork all raised billions of dollars from sophisticated investors that did very little due diligence to verify the lofty claims of the founders. Low interest rates, a hype around venture capital investing, and the growing popularity of SPACs meant that there was a lot of investor money looking for the next big thing. Eccentric founders had the luxury of shopping around for investors who were all desperate to get their money into whatever company was generating the most buzz. And the companies that could generate the most buzz were the ones that could just lie about doing something that could change the world. If only it were true. From my personal experience working as an investment banker in the healthcare space, less exciting companies that are honest about their realistic objectives are drowned in due diligence by more experienced private equity professionals, while companies making wild claims about changing the landscape of the medical world are waved through by venture capitalists that think they are much smarter than they really are. Now, big companies are getting ripped off by founders with questionable attire, but that's not where most of the fraud is happening. Most fraud is targeted at regular people, and even if they don't make any dumb mistakes themselves, offloading the cost of scams onto people has become more lucrative than ever thanks to 2 other concerning trends. Big companies with sophisticated investors knew the risks of doing no due diligence, and investing hype is finally shifting away from firms promising to be the Uber of in-office kombucha taps. But people suspecting everything of being a scam, apart from scams, the paradox of the grift if you will, does a lot more harm to normal people who don't have the time or resources to thoroughly vet every offer they are given. The people being hurt the most by these smaller scale frauds are not who you would expect. The most common victim of financial fraud is not elderly people with deteriorating mental capacity getting targeted by scam callers claiming to be the IRS. According to data by the FTC, these scams do fool millions of people every year, and more should be done about that to educate and protect people at risk. It sucks that every single email, text message, and phone call needs to be analyzed for sketchy links, and it can be exhausting. But at least it's possible with a bit of attention to stay on the right side of these scams. But the fastest growing category of financial fraud is much harder to protect yourself against. And to show you why, we need to talk about influencers. Seeking fame and fortune is nothing new, and people running get-rich-quick schemes on late-night cable are nothing new either. But technological and cultural changes have allowed these people to merge into one. I don't want to reveal my age here too much, but back in my day, celebrities were afraid of being labeled as sellouts. They had to be very tactful about promoting their merch or their fans would turn on them. Today, selling out is the goal. Modern celebrities and influencers are celebrated for launching a new product line and go on interviews where they talk extensively about how much money they make. There is nothing wrong with celebrities making money, and some influencer businesses sell great products, but a lot don't, and a lot get much worse. According to a 2021 survey conducted by the FTC on consumer losses through scams, 61% of all fraud contacts initiated on social media and websites. Email, online ads, phone calls, and text messages were all fighting for whatever was left. The people you watch and trust online are by far the most likely to scam you. Influencers know that their influence won't last forever. Tastes change, their audience will outgrow their content, or they could be caught up in controversies that gets them kicked out of their respective platform. That's show business. But the problem for the new age of celebrity is that the antics that they self-publish onto the internet would make it impossible for a lot of them to get a real job afterwards. So they need to make enough money in their few years of fame to fund their lavish lifestyle forever. It's not impossible to do legitimately, but it's much easier to do by jumping on the latest trends. If you are an influencer and you know your audience is eventually going to get bored of you anyway, it's very tempting to make as much money as possible off them on the way out. And that's the second reason why people think everything is a scam, apart from scams. Fraud is exciting. Reality is depressing. Imagine you had $10,000 to spare, and you are deciding where to put it. A BlackRock broad market exchange traded fund, or a crypto token from a YouTuber. I really hope you all watching know what the right choice is. On a different corner of the internet, you will see people hyping up very risky plays to an impressionable audience while making laser-eye video thumbnails about how BlackRock secretly rules the world. One of the biggest business and finance influencers in the world, Patrick Bet David, has made countless videos talking about the dangers of Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street while defending multi-level and network marketing, including his own multi-level marketing life insurance company. BlackRock is not a faultless business, but your money will be safer with them than it will be with the average influencer. My friend Richard over on the Plain Bagel made a great video about why investing won't make you rich. It can only build wealth by accelerating diligent savings. But that's boring, and that kind of content doesn't make as much money or perform as well with the algorithm as flashy displays of material wealth and non-compliant claims about making money. Even influencers not peddling get-rich-quick schemes need to over-sensationalize everything to maximize engagement. I know I pick on Graham a lot, but judging by his thumbnails, this guy has been bankrupt 4 times this year alone. Influencers are an easy target for ridicule, and I understand as a now full-time YouTuber myself, it's tempting to use the flames and laser eyes. But it all builds a culture of getting as much attention as possible, as quickly as possible, and then trading that influence for cash. The biggest problem is that there appears to be very few consequences for doing this. People like Logan Paul, who at the height of the cryptocurrency mania promoted several pump and dump schemes, has to date had no problems with regulators who are struggling to keep up in this area as well. He also hasn't even taken that much reputational damage and still has millions of fans watching his videos and buying Prime energy drinks. Another friend of the channel, Patrick Boyle, in an interview with Zeke Fox, an investigative reporter for Bloomberg, and author of Number Go Up, said that the grift is not something to be embarrassed about anymore. It's now seen as high status, because the most visibly high status people are all doing it. Fox also claimed that investigations into this matter almost don't make sense anymore, because the perpetrators of this kind of fraud are so unashamed and open about it that an investigative journalist doing an expose on Dink Doink would be like a food critic writing a review on Taco Bell. And that's the third reason why we think everything is a scam apart from scams. Fraud moves faster than we do. New technologies like cryptocurrencies, AI, and the internet all may have legitimate marketable uses, but it can take years for people to figure out what those use cases are and years more to build businesses around them. It's little wonder then that the new technologies are a golden opportunity for fraud. By promising to know the secrets to using something new to make lots of money, grifters can leverage the natural hype of barely understood tech to sell a guide on how to use it for a profit. The hustle bros that were selling crypto trading guides when Bitcoin was entering the mainstream are now telling you how to use ChatGPT to make millions by automating some vaguely legitimate sounding online business. This problem hits every level of finance, not just core scammers. The venture capital funds that were throwing investor money at blockchain companies are now throwing investor money at anything that claims to use AI. And the influencers that were crypto experts now know how to use ChatGPT to make $300 a day. The rapid pace of new technologies that people are desperate to understand is behind the rapid pace of new frauds pretending to know the answers. The reason that people are so desperate for the answers is also the fourth reason that they are so willing to convince themselves that a scam is not a scam. People are desperate. I don't need to say too much about this one. According to Lending Club data, 62% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Nobody earning minimum wage can afford to rent a basic 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the country. People have to jump through up to 17 interviews to get a job. Interest rates are rising, basic essentials are twice what they cost 5 years ago, and most people don't think there is any hope of changing that.
The housing crisis in the United States is real. It is incredibly difficult for people to buy a home.
Sad as 4 in 10 consumers consider themselves worse off than last year.
Anything promising a way out of a no-hope situation looks good to a lot of people. The fifth reason why we now think everything is a scam, apart from scams, is because the outlets that were supposed to be keeping us informed about this have also decided that there is more money in sensationalism. YouTube is getting worse, and that's because it has to. It's not just you imagining things. YouTube is forcing people to turn off their ad blockers, recommending bad content, removing user feedback, allowing progressively worse advertisers on their platform, and trying to keep up with every new trend in video. I hate to be the one to tell you, but it's not going to get better from here.
I get that they're not removing the button. Apparently the button's still going to be there, but it's not going to do anything.
YouTube has confirmed that it is experimenting with blocking some users with ad blockers enabled from watching videos on the platform.
The update from YouTube is that the dislike button is staying, but the dislike counts will now be private.
This video is not the billionth episode of YouTuber Complains about YouTube. Instead, I want to look at the 4 business fundamentals driving decisions that is already making the platform worse for creators and viewers. My own controversial opinion on this is that YouTube has become trapped actually paying creators too much, which is a really dumb thing to say as a full-time YouTube creator. But by the end of this video, you might just agree with me. YouTube has monopolized the online video sharing market. The runners-up, TikTok, Facebook, Bilibili, and Twitch don't even come close in terms of total engagement. Of these companies, only Meta's Facebook competes with YouTube's core offering of user-generated video on demand, but that is secondary to Facebook's core functionality of keeping up to date with what the boomers are angry about. All of the other platforms operate in a niche, like short-form content on TikTok, live video streaming on Twitch, and servicing the Chinese market for Bilibili. These sites don't compete with YouTube, but YouTube does compete with them. Months after TikTok started gaining market dominance, YouTube reacted by launching YouTube Shorts. And the site also competes directly with Twitch for live stream content. Having monopolized the market for video streaming, moving into these other niches was good, but it created the first reason why YouTube has to get worse. It's doing everything badly instead of one thing well. Despite its dominance, there are certain video categories that YouTube has failed dramatically to break into. The biggest missed opportunity is premium paid content. YouTube operates by making a tiny amount of money off a massive amount of people, and that means the content on their site is necessarily low budget. The largest creators on the platform may wow viewers with how much they spend on their videos, but even Mr. Beast is only creating something that is akin to a mid-budget reality TV show. He also produces less content than a similar show that would air on traditional media outlets because his videos are shorter and released less frequently. Paid subscription streaming services or cable TV stations bring in a lot more money on a per-viewer basis than YouTube because everybody that uses their platform pays for it. A web-based service like Netflix also has an expense advantage over YouTube on their content side. Netflix has to pay more to produce or license its content, where YouTube gets it for free from people uploading to their platform, but in return, Netflix has a more curated library of high-value content. In a Bloomberg feature from 2013, the company revealed that it compressed its entire library of movies and TV shows into a 2.75 petabyte master catalog. That's 2,800 times a terabyte, which is how much storage most high-end personal devices have. Since that report, there's been no reliable updates to the actual size of the Netflix library, but the number of movies and shows offered has actually shrunk since then. Compression has gotten better, and Netflix has not rolled out any new features like higher resolution that would demand more storage. YouTube has that much data uploaded to its servers every single day. Netflix and other streaming services pay for their content through licensing deals. YouTube pays for its content by handling billions of videos that will never get a single view so they can keep the tiny fraction of videos that do bring in revenue. Making a little bit of revenue from a lot of people is not as scalable as making a lot of revenue from a few people. Despite its undisputed market dominance, YouTube makes roughly 1/4 the revenue of Netflix, which operates in a market with roughly a dozen strong competitors. There are no new people left to sign up to YouTube. Everybody that wants to watch videos on the internet will already use it unless they live in a country where their access is restricted. When billions of gigabytes worth of data are being uploaded on servers every day, the only thing the company has left to do is switch from getting more users to getting more out of the users they have. The first way they did that was by offering more options. Now on YouTube, you can watch short-form, live streams, and pay-per-view movies, in addition to regular user-made videos on demand that people typically came to YouTube to watch. There's only so much space on the site's home screen and recommendation sidebars, so all of these options are leaving less room for the stuff that people usually came to YouTube for. With more competition than ever and less real estate on the site to fight over, even respectable creators have had to resort to clickbait thumbnails and videos that they know will do well. The site is also fighting itself for parts of your screen that actually makes it money. For those of you brave enough to use YouTube without an ad blocker, the site has been trying to push larger banner ads into the limited screen space it still has left, only splitting people's attention even more. For those of you who do use an ad blocker, don't feel too smug just yet. YouTube does have a premium subscription service that costs $13.99 a month, which is more expensive than the cheapest Netflix plan, which is $6.99 a month with ads, but cheaper than their standard plan, which is $15.49 a month, which would be the most fair comparison because one of the biggest perks of YouTube Premium is the elimination of ads. YouTube Premium is actually a great service, and despite a common misconception, it still helps creators because Google splits premium revenue with creators the same way they split ad revenue. But it remains very unpopular, with less than 1% of users paying for a premium subscription to use the site because people are less likely to pay for something they are used to getting for free. And that's why the second reason YouTube has to get worse is all about the content. Most of the content you watch will be made by the top 1% of creators. According to the analytics firm PEX, less than 12% of videos uploaded to the site get more than 1,000 views, and only 0.77% of videos uploaded get over 100,000 views. The report also discovered that those videos which accounted for less than 1% of total uploads received 75% of all viewership. Creators making these videos consistently are doing it as at least a full-time job, and some make it a full-on business with employees helping them to make videos. The people you watch most are financially dependent on your viewership, so when the platform they built their audience with changed its business strategy from getting more users to getting more money out of existing users, the creators had to follow suit. Advertisers can now more carefully select exactly who they want to target with YouTube with their ads. But since YouTube, through a Google account, doesn't actually collect much information about their users directly, they have to figure it out based on what they are watching. Certain, safe, advertiser-friendly niches now attract a lot more money than they have ever before as YouTube becomes a more mainstream advertising platform, but a lot of creators in other content niches are getting no revenue at all.
Aw, man.
You don't have to feel sorry for me, but my other channel, How History Works, does really well, getting about 50,000 views or more per video. But since most of history is pretty dark and advertisers don't want their brand associated with dark content, there is no way that anybody would be able to live on the revenue from that channel. Charlie Munger, the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, said that in business, if you show me the incentive, I will show you the outcome. YouTubers have been incentivized to make safer, longer, more advertiser-friendly content, so they have reacted by doing just that. The channels that do make this kind of content have been greatly rewarded with more lucrative revenue shares and more valuable sponsorship deals. This has enabled top creators to not only make content by hiring bigger teams, but also make content with a larger budget. Whether a bigger budget means better content, I will talk about soon. On the other hand, channels that don't make this kind of content won't make as much money and won't be able to create content as a full-time job. And they certainly won't be able to hire people to help make more videos. So this naturally led to less of the kind of content that YouTube first became famous for. Instead of making the risque and unrefined videos, the creators that drive most of the engagement on the site have been rewarded by making copies of the cheapest programming you would see on television: reality shows, talk shows, and news. Some of this content is very good, and it's impressive how far some creators can stretch their budget, but they still don't have the same resources as a program with dedicated funding. A lot of content has become the worst of both platforms. They have the safe formulaic nature of program television, but without the budget. Ask yourself honestly, if YouTube wasn't right there for free on your computer or in your pocket, how much of the content that you consume would you actually sit down on the couch at the end of the day and watch? If you were brave enough, share your answers in the comments. And don't worry, my feelings won't be hurt if you wouldn't tune in to me, weekdays at 6. In addition to pushing content that is easier to run commercial breaks on, YouTube is making it harder to avoid those commercial breaks altogether. Ad blockers are the most cost-effective way to browse the internet ad-free, but most legacy media companies like news publishers have started cracking down on this practice by introducing ad blocker blockers. YouTube, which is owned by one of the biggest tech companies in the world, could easily introduce the same restrictions to increase their revenue per user, but they haven't yet for two reasons. Less people than you would expect are actually using ad blockers. According to multiple surveys run by Business Insider Intelligence, HubSpot, and CNET, only about 40% of internet users are running an ad block extension on their browser. For YouTube, it was easier to simply push more ads to the people that were not using ad blockers. The first reason is that it reduced audience pushback and made it less likely that another competitor would emerge to host the audience that wasn't willing to watch ads. From a commercial perspective, those viewers may have had a negative value, but maintaining a monopoly on content meant maintaining a monopoly on an audience as well. The second reason was because of the YouTube ads algorithm. You have all heard of the YouTube algorithm, which decides which thumbnails you are displayed, but you might not know that what ads get shown to you goes through a similar process. YouTube doesn't make money on ads until one of three things happens. The first thing is that you watch an ad for more than 30 seconds. The second is that you watch the entire ad if it is less than 30 seconds long, or the third is if you actually click on the ad. If you skip the ad as soon as you can, YouTube does not charge the advertiser and no money is paid. The YouTube ad algorithm has a very simple objective: maximize revenue. That means it has to show you the ad that is paying the highest rate that is most likely to get you to watch the whole thing all the way through. So if you are wondering why ads have become so obnoxiously attention-grabbing recently, now you know. Viewers that use ad blockers were a small part of the audience that would make a lot of noise and also be the least likely to engage with ad content in any meaningful way, so there wasn't much of an advantage to banning their use. But now that YouTube is basically unchallenged, it's starting to change that policy by slowly blocking ad blockers in test markets before it rolls it out worldwide. This is all a part of what the science fiction author and journalist Cory Doctorow coined as the enshittification of online platforms in an infamous article he wrote for Wired at the beginning of this year. According to Doctorow, new platforms offer useful products and services at a loss, as a way to gain new users. Once users are logged in, the platform then offers access to the user base to suppliers at a loss. And once the suppliers are locked in, the platform shifts surpluses to shareholders. Enshittified platforms, which act as intermediaries like YouTube does between content creators and viewers, can functionally act as both a monopoly on services and a monopsony on customers, as high switching costs prevent either from leaving even when alternatives technically exist. Enshittification has happened to every new technology platform that offered a service that seemed too good to be true, and senior management at YouTube has a fiduciary duty to shareholders to make it happen here too. A controversial solution that is going to win me no friends amongst my fellow content creators is just to pay creators less. Currently, creators that are a part of the YouTube Partner Program get 55% of net revenues from ads displayed on their long-form videos, and 45% of the revenue from the Shorts ad pool prorated on their share of views. YouTubers are more stuck on this platform than viewers, and if people think of it as a place to share videos that they are proud of instead of a place where they can get rich, it'll greatly improve the content quality on the platform. I have some bad news for you. You are probably not going to be rich. Not a particularly positive message to start a video on, but it's something that people need to hear from time to time. Unfortunately, this is not something that most people want to hear, so there is no shortage of people out there telling you exactly the opposite, normally as a way to pitch some kind of product. Now, of course, most of you watching know that YouTube ads saying that you can earn 6 figures a month by selling on Amazon, Forex trading, or flipping real estate are full of shit. But they still all follow a pretty similar routine. Hey, you can get rich, as long as you are willing to do XYZ, while listening to the advice I give you. Again, when it turns out that this advice is something that you have to pay for, most people get wise to the fact that it's all just a massive scam. Of course, some don't, which is tragic, and there really genuinely should be more done about this, but that's a story for another time, or a CoffeeZilla video. Instead, the focus of this video will be on a group of internet gurus with much more influence, a much larger following, and much more credibility. The personal finance personalities. So, it's time to learn how money works and find out why you probably shouldn't be learning to work your money like these popular YouTubers might suggest. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I personally enjoy watching people like Ram Stefan, Andre Jick, and from time to time even Dave Ramsey as a guilty pleasure. None of these guys are outright nefarious scammers, like the hustle bros you'll see pitching an Amazon automation course, and this automatically makes them a million times better than this other group. What's more is that they are genuinely entertaining. They give people a sneak peek into their own success while presenting relatively dry content in a way that is funny and easy to understand. The problem is though, is that personal finance should be boring. There is a common saying that everything you need to know about personal finance should be able to fit on a postcard, and some authors have actually done it. But when you are committing to an upload schedule of 15-minute videos every single day, every single week, you are going to run out of things on that postcard to talk about. Now, this is no good, because as these people will show you, they make millions of dollars a year from their daily videos. So they are not exactly going to turn around and say, oh well, I've taught you everything you need to know, so long and thanks for all the fish. Of course not. That would be silly. And I'm sure any one of us in their position would do the exact same thing that they are, which is riding that damn gravy train for as long as they can. But to do this, they need to create more and more content than what this postcard can hold. So they branch out into a few different broad categories. Personal stories about their success, reactions, predictions, and making up new lessons. Now, to start off with, let's look at the least problematic of these formats, reaction videos. Reaction videos are everywhere on YouTube, and they get a bit of a bad rap. But when you think about it, this video format can range from absolutely terrible all the way to genuinely value-adding and informative. The videos that people like Graham or Kevin make are normally towards the good end. They will normally react to personal finance by watching video series like Millennial Money, or they talk about high-end real estate, which is obviously an area of expertise for these guys. There are others like Dave Ramsey, who will do live reactions to people that call into his show, and despite this being a bit repetitive, they aren't really doing any harm. If you want to argue that these live interviews are not really reaction videos, just think to yourself, am I watching this to see a solution to the person's problem, or am I watching this video to smugly partake in Dave's reaction to this person's situation? Even still, this is just a bit of light entertainment, and who knows, maybe we'll pick up a nugget of information along the way. No problems there, apart from when these reactions turn into predictions. Financial predictions are almost impossible to make. Even the largest financial firms in the world with teams of PhD quantitative analysts struggle to outperform regular market returns consistently, if at all. It's therefore frustrating to see someone like Meet Kevin make predictions about the future of a highly volatile stock like Tesla before his audience. And yes, I know, he gives a standard disclaimer that this is not financial advice.
Don't sue me, bro.
But when a supposedly reputable figure that positions themselves as a personal finance expert brings up an official-looking spreadsheet and predicts 100% growth within the next 12 months, well, it's not unrealistic to see how some of his impressionable audience would follow his not advice. Now, this is just one of the most blatant examples, but all of these personal finance personalities is guilty of giving this not advice pieces of advice throughout their content. This can range anywhere from invest into dividend stocks all the way up to buy a duplex and rent out the other side. Both pieces of advice are not necessarily bad, but are grossly overgeneralized and make no accommodations to the financial situation of their viewers. Now, my friend Richard over at The Plain Bagel actually made a video last week that explored the issue of picking stocks and why he doesn't offer stock picks. On its surface, this should be taken as a bit of wisdom, considering it is his literal career to analyze investments, and he also has taken the lucrative test to become a chartered financial analyst. I was actually considering not making a video after seeing that one because I thought Mr. Bagel did a pretty fair and well-rounded argument against all of this. But then I saw this. Alright, this is where the serious issue starts. Making up new rules for people to follow. I hate to break it to you, and I truly do mean this in the nicest way possible, but Graham Stephan is an ex-real estate agent and a social media influencer. He does not know the 5 best investments to make you rich. For that matter, nobody knows any investments that will make you rich, and if they did, they sure wouldn't be sharing them on a YouTube video. Despite popular opinion these days, good investments should not double overnight. They should instead continually provide value over many years or decades and return that value back to the investor over the same time period. The generally accepted rate of return for a well-diversified portfolio is anywhere between 6% all the way up to 12% if you are doing really well. The bad news here is that it's not going to make you rich, just like we said at the beginning of the video. Well, actually, it's not going to make you rich unless you have a decent income already and are very disciplined about consistently contributing to this portfolio over a long enough time period for compounded interest to do its thing. Even then, it will make you old and rich, which is not what people want. What they do want is to hear about how the people talking to them got so rich, which is where we get the last type of concerning content. Personal stories about their success. Now, who doesn't love a good success story, especially when it's the tale of a scrappy underdog proving all the naysayers wrong, which is something most of these guys have. Graham didn't get into college, Meet Kevin started from less than $1,000, Dave Ramsey went totally bankrupt, and the same is true for the rest of them. None are turning around and saying I studied like crazy through high school, got into a good university, and became a doctor or an investment banker. Why? Well, because their backgrounds are much more relatable to the average audience, which makes achieving fortunes for that audience sound much more attainable. Now, that's not to say that these backstories are all a lie, but more so that they are just the product of survivorship bias. For every Dave, Graham, and Kevin, there are thousands of people that didn't have the unique set of skills and the luck to break into the incredibly lucrative roles they found themselves in. Sure, Graham didn't go to college, but he did work his way into an incredibly prestigious real estate firm. So, what he lacked in book smarts were obviously made up for with personal branding and good old-fashioned sales ability. If you are a fantastic salesman, then sure, go ahead. There is actually a widely accepted array of high-paying jobs with varying levels of effort to certainty. Sales sits somewhere towards the riskier side of this array. Something that is very high effort would be becoming a surgeon or dentist. It takes years and years of medical school, but once you are practicing, you are all but guaranteed a high income and a standard of living for the rest of your life. Of course, at the other end of the spectrum is something like becoming a rock star, famous actor, or yeah, even a YouTuber. It doesn't take too much effort when compared to years in med school or 100-hour weeks in an investment bank. but it's also incredibly unlikely to pay off. Whether they do it intentionally or not, the personal finance personalities perpetuate the narrative of dropping out of school and building your own destiny, which has worked well for them, but will not work for most people. It also sounds eerily familiar to the promises made by the more despicable side of the financial gurus.
Drop out of college.
Now, there is one last problem with all these personal backstories, and that is that they are used to justify all these other pieces of content. To demonstrate this, we are once again going to pick on Meet Kevin. One of his most popular videos is a tale of how he built up his property portfolio from $0 to $5.5 million by the age of 27. You are welcome to go and watch the video, but the TLDR is that through a series of flips and equity releases, he built up a highly leveraged position of real estate assets that were cash flow positive. Sounds great, but it is incredibly risky. Take a 5-to-1 leverage position in the stock market and most people will think you lost your mind. But take a 10-to-1 leverage position on a house and you're an investment genius. Most people don't realize how risky real estate can be. Now, of course, Kevin was lucky. He started investing at the start of one of the longest real estate bull runs in history, and in his defense, he has since deleveraged his position significantly. But this is the definition of survivorship bias. Nobody is going to make a video of how they lost their life savings trying to flip homes. Had Kevin started his investment journey in 2004, he certainly wouldn't be telling stories of financial success on YouTube. If anything, he would be lucky to be an extra on The Big Short.
You just keep going to the bank and you ask for more money. Hey, there's a bubble.
Now, if I sound overly cynical, let me follow all this up by saying that given the opportunity to make as much money as these guys are by uploading videos to the internet, I would sell out so damn fast.
Sometimes YouTubers can sound like salespeople.
But they are still selling something. It might not be a course or an AI that can trade Forex for you or even a book, but they are selling you to keep on watching. Bleak realities about the tough road to reliably create wealth doesn't quite grab the attention like an open mouth and flashy headline. But in a world where attention is the new currency, you should spend yours wisely.
Watching this video, you're still like, all of this guy's investments is because of his YouTube money. You're 100% right.
Anyway, if you do happen to get rich by following in their footsteps, you should follow that all up by commenting how dumb I am on this video and watching our video on what to do next after making a few $1,000,000. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing to keep on learning how money works.
You don't have to tell us twice.
How designer brands keep you poor.
This bag right here costs $300,000.
This is a $300 bag. I've seen the same bag at Target is $30.
And not because it's lined with diamonds or was owned by the late Queen Elizabeth, but because this is a Birkin bag. If you're not familiar already, the Birkin bag...
I don't know what a fucking Birkin bag is. I have no idea.
It's an expensive
bag.
Expensive luxury handbag in the world.
Jesus.
The costs range from $8,500 to...
I mean, it's a nice bag, I guess. I mean, sure, it looks okay.
Our fleet is under attack.
But, like, why do you... Like, this is the thing, bro, is, like, if you have this, like, you gotta put on... Bro, what are you, in a laboratory? You trying to... You doing experiments to find out what the fuck is in COVID? This is a... What's that, a crocodile skin bag? Like, what the fuck is this? Mickey, yeah, is this Mickey Mouse looking at this bag?
$300,000 a bag, and that's not even considering the purchasing history that you need to establish with Hermes just to be considered able to buy a Birkin bag. Because you can't just walk into an Hermes store and buy a Birkin bag at the register. You have to establish a purchasing history with Hermes, meaning...
What the fuck? So you gotta give them money so they can let you give them more money. This is actually kind of a smart thing for them to do. The reason why is that way they don't have poor losers running around with their stuff. You don't want to be like Supreme, where like Supreme has these, you know, 90-pound 14-year-olds that are wearing extra large shirts, looks like a dress on them. It's like it makes the brand look bad. Same as Rolex and Ferrari? Oh, I don't know about that. I never fucking been to a I never been to any of these fucking stores. There was one time I went down to the Domain. The Domain is like the place where fucking some rich people go here in Austin. And I had to go down there for some bullshit event. And I went down there for that bullshit event. And I went by, there was like a Gucci store there and like all these other places. Like, oh my God. How do you do that?
You frequently buy a variety of their other products like scarves and makeup.
Bro, like what the fuck?
My game plan was to, you know, wear a lot of my Hermes items to show that, hey, I'm an Hermes customer, and I'm just not like, tons of tourists just come in who have never purchased any Hermes in their life. And the first question I was asked was, do you have an Hermes bag? So I'm wearing my 2-click.
This is so sad. She's acting like she's trying to get, she's trying to apply to go to a GDKP Oldawar raid. She's like, oh, I tried to link them. See, I have one light in the darkness on 10 man, and I completed half of the achievements on 25 man. And like, bro, it's like, what are you trying to get into a fucking raid for? This is a resume. What are you doing?
Of a star base at your disposal.
Bracelet, got on my Hermes
What's your
Kelly
gear
belt,
score?
Hermes CDC belt, my twilly around my neck. You know, I'm a loyal customer, etc., etc.
Tip 1, if you have Hermes, wear Hermes, it helps. Hey, yo, what's Hermes, the god of trickery? Is like they can put it right in your face, and you can't see it. That's herpes? No, that's two different things. He was a thief as well. Yeah, didn't he try to steal Apollo's shit? Yeah, he did. Damn, so, like, how is it you put that in the name? They put it right in front of them and they still buy it. That's like opening up a meat store and like you're selling cannibal shit and the store is called like fucking Cannibal's Meat. It's like you put it right in front of somebody, they can't see it. That's their problem.
Imagine if Dick's Sporting Goods did the same thing and just to buy a basketball, you also had to buy a kayak golf club and some of Dwayne Johnson's Under Armour line. Be ridiculous. And yet that's the reality of buying a Birkin bag. I would argue.
Well, for real though, like that's why it's valuable is because you're buying it and having it is like a status symbol. And so people that are losers buy this stuff so they can feel like they're not losers. It's exclusive, yeah. If they didn't have this, nobody would give a shit about it. Hermes is relegated. Oh, there it is. Hermes is regarded as the divine trickster, about which the Homeric hymn to Hermes offers the most well-known account. Damn, that's crazy. How the fuck do you, like, they literally put it in the name and people don't want to fucking, like, oh my God. It's an insecure idiot tax. Yeah, what the fuck?
It is the physical epitome of manufactured exclusivity.
It's 4,000.
I know.
And there's a waiting list.
I assumed.
What's so fucking funny to me about this is like you can tell by like the way they're dressed and shit. This movie probably came out in like 1996. So at that time, $4,000 was a lot of money. But now, $4,000 is the starting price. That's like that's the cheapest bag that you can get. Thanks, Brandon.
5 years.
For a bag?
It's not a bag. It's a Birkin.
And yet, despite the many hoops and long wait lists that are associated with this bag, people keep flocking to it. They might save money for years just to buy one bag, which
that's why they do it is because it's exclusive. If it wasn't exclusive, they wouldn't buy it.
Military structure complete.
Way, you often don't get a say in what kind of color or style of bag you get, but if you want a Birkin bag, you're gonna have to take what they give you. So why is this happening? What is so magical about this bag? Obviously,
it makes losers feel like they're not losers. Like it's literally that simple.
Complete.
Like,
ready for
that's it. It's literally that simple. There's no other fucking fine print to it. That's it.
Answer is subjective. You could argue it's because the materials they use are super high quality or because it's handmade by artisans. But I think the answer is a little more primal than that. We seek social status from what we wear to where we go to school to the handbags we carry. We want to be perceived as high status, especially.
Oh, don't we me on this shit. I don't want people to see me as high status and they'll fucking annoy me. One of the worst fucking things is people find out what I do. Oh, now they go, oh God. Oh, fuck. That's the worst thing.
Higher status than those around us. Designer items like the Birkin bag become this cheat code of sort in our modern consumerist culture.
Yeah, that's the thing is it is a cheat code. Because like there's any moron can save up a bunch of money to buy something stupid like this.
Generational marketing has labeled values, status, wealth, and some indescribable specialness to designer items.
Yeah.
And those who buy into the marketing messages,
Here's the
therefore...
thing, it's like if Versace or fucking Balenciaga, any of these people sent me stuff and it felt good, I would wear it. It's not like I'm against it. I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on it. If I get it for free, it's the same fucking thing.
Assign those same labels to the person owning the designer items. The world of designer brands from Louis Vuitton to Rolex is one where social status is achieved purely through consumption and spending. Yeah. It's a system that can easily keep you poor if you're not careful, which is why I want to dive into this topic.
Of course it keeps you poor, because the people who care about it are fucking dumb, and dumb people make dumb decisions with their fucking money all the time. Like, you want to find out if somebody is stupid or not? Look at what they spend their money on. That's going to be a really good indicator.
Designer brands.
Hey, yo, don't make fun of her because she's fat. Who cares if she's fat? Make fun of her because she's buying all that stupid shit.
Today's video. Let's talk about how designer brands target the poor instead of the rich, how they prey on our psychology, help destroy the planet, and how rich we could possibly be if we didn't spend money on designer products. By the way, if you're interested in more videos on money, media, society, and intentional living, be sure to subscribe and check out my other video essays. I'm trying to post every other week right now.
The dangers of a stay-at-home girlfriend?